Welcome to the Let's Keep It Light podcast, and thanks for listening. In this roundtable discussion, Ginger Bowler, Isabel Martinez, and Melinda Anderson continue discussing when they each knew that light therapy had changed their lives personally and professionally.
So we're continuing on our conversation that we started earlier, and that is the difference that photobiomodulation or light therapy has made in our personal life as well as our business life, because we're each practitioners in the healing arts or energy medicine. And we were talking about using lights for whether it's weight loss, pain, circulation, etc., for the physical body. But now we're going to move into the difference it makes for all those other bodies that are a part of being a human being. The mental body, the emotional body, spiritual body, the auric field, the social body, all of it. Because each of us have not only experienced major changes in our own life on many different levels using photobiomodulation or light therapy, but we've heard countless stories from our friends, family, and from our colleagues and clients. So before I ask each one of you that question, if you have I know you have many stories, I want to say that the way I explain it to my clients is, listen, we are flooding your physical form with so much light that it is impossible for us to not affect the other levels of your being. So we are literally raising the vibrational frequency of your body by putting this much light on your physical form. And the things that are of the darkness or negativity or the distortions in the energy field, the things that are not beneficial cannot stay around in that much light. So who wants to go first with the story?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Melinda.
Okay. Yes, like you said, Ginger, there's many that I think of how many people have told us different things. And we always tell them, pay attention to the little things we want to hear, because it's kind of like when somebody asks you, how are you today? And you say, good. Everybody's response is usually good. And we're not like actually giving a conscious, thoughtful response, right? So sometimes that happens, I see with our clients too, where you say, well, how are your light sessions going? Good. And then what have you noticed? Well, I don't know. And it's like, okay, let's slow it down, So you have some of that. Then you have other people where it's like forefront, they can't believe what's going on. And one that I can think of is a lady that we had that was very in the darkness, is what I can say. She had a lot of things going on in her life. She had lost family members. She had went through a terrible divorce and didn't really know where her career was going, and just all the things, that when it rains, it pours. And she had the lights definitely put over her eyes, and we placed them over different areas. And I'll tell you, she was not coming to us for any of those things that I just mentioned. She was coming to us because she wanted to feel better about her image and her body, her physical body. And so she was coming to us looking to start her weight loss journey and really, she didn't know this, but her healing and wellness journey. And that's what it became. It changed her on so many levels as far as her mood when she came in. When I first met her, I was really excited when her session was over because she was just very heavy, is the best way I could describe it. And being somebody that's very sensitive to other people's energy, and I take a lot of that on without meaning to, being, longtime body worker. It was just very heavy and very dark feeling. And I explained to her, which is one of my favorite things in the Let's course, is that bar that you're either above it and in the light, or you're below it in the darkness. And the things that put you in the darkness are are very humbling because it's like, wow, I've done that today. Oh, I've talked about that or done this. And then realizing you can't be in the light and the darkness at the same time. Correct. That is the most humbling thing that I read in that book was you can't be in both places. You're either in the light or you're in the darkness. And she definitely came in the darkness. And I can say that she was left in the light. Her face changed. The way she spoke changed. She had, if you would want to say, pep in her step when she was walking, when she left there. And then she started noticing things. She would tell us about things that were changing and going on in life, that she was realizing, or maybe not realizing that it was from the light, but starting to realize that she was becoming to dwell in the light more often than she was in the darkness.
That's awesome. I'm going to follow that up because I had a similar experience when I first opened my clinic in Boulder and started with the infrasculpt part. As you know, I've been using the pad-based system for almost 15 years. But after pandemic and opening the salon and using both forms and some other little pin lights and things, I had this one client that came in one day and she was coming in for body contouring, so to make her body smaller. And she came, this was her second session, and she stood in the doorway and she said, I have to tell you what happened to me. She said, when I came the first time, my anxiety was up here, and she pointed to the ceiling. And she said, now it's down here. And she pointed to the floor. And I said, that's great. And she goes, but more importantly, I had this negative, persistent thought that played 24/7 in my brain, and it's gone. And I said, wow, that's great. She goes, Ginger, you did not hear me. I didn't say it was better. I said it was gone. She said, that is life-changing. And that is life-changing. And so I can explain that from an energy level, because there are dark forces or energies or whatever you want to call them, pesky little energies or negative thought forms or spooks or whatever. You know, people have different language for those energies that are non-beneficial, that are of the lower, denser, slower, darker vibration. That can hijack our energy field, hijack our life, cause us complete misery. And it may be a persistent thought that we started generating ourselves, but it may not. It may be a life force from, society laying, the mass consciousness, or somebody literally depositing something in our energy field that acts like a dark force. And so the way that I would explain what happened to this wonderful human being was that we flooded her system with so much light from all the pads and all the bars that dark, whatever that was, could not stay in that light. So it's not like we have to chase away the darkness per se, it's that we bring in the light. And those negative, darker, slower, denser vibrations can't stay in the same field.
Yeah. Well, I can tell about someone through fear. So I was on a plane, and I mostly always bring my cold laser with me, because it's really very easy to manage, and it doesn't have to be plugged to use it. So I was on this plane, and I was seated, and not in the seat aside of me, but one in front, there was this person that was, I could see her holding her husband's arm, and the husband was just doing every kind of faces, and his eyes were like going up, and he seemed angry, but she seemed panicked. So I just took my laser out and went in close to them and said, I know you're suffering. May I help? And they stare at me like, are you crazy? How can you help? And I said, well, I'm just going to turn this, it's light, and I'm going to use it in your heart area. So I know that you will be feeling much better and you'll be relaxed. So she said, do whatever there is. I am always panicked during flight. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I put the light on her chest and I told her, if this turns off, you just have to turn it on in this way. So the whole flight, she was with the laser in the heart area. I didn't talk about chakras or whatever. I just said, you use it here and you'll be perfectly well. So all of a sudden, that hand that the nails were really in her husband's arm were releasing little by little till she felt asleep. So her husband turned his head towards me and said, what is this? And I said, light. So I think that's something that at this moment I find like, okay, I went a little talking to them about what life could mean in so many ways. But I find like working with emotional stuff is really helpful when we use light. So that's one that I can tell.
It's very common for us in our office to have people come, almost everybody comes in initially for making their body smaller or more toned or for pain. But they come back again and again and again for all the other benefits, all the wellness benefits. Now, photobiomodulation or light therapy was reclassified by the FDA some years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, as a general wellness modality. So there's so many physiological benefits besides just pain and circulation or body contouring for light therapy. But, what we're pointing to right now is beyond that physical form and the physical benefits. And so I love it when someone will come in and say, yeah, well, I keep coming back because I don't feel like strangling my husband anymore, or I now have energy to play with my grandkids, or I now have energy to go to the gym or whatever it is. So
we had a husband that said, I'll pay whatever it costs for whatever you want as long as you keep coming home in that mood.
I love that.
Yeah, we love that too.
That's awesome.
He said, I don't care how much it costs. As long as you keep coming home in a good mood, then I'll pay for it.
That's awesome.
Well, and thinking about how the benefits of using light in different ways, to me, it was always amazing when we started working with Mael that it was introducing light in the body. So the first part for me using light was like in the field through the laser. That's how I was kind of perceiving and feeling because of the frequency, the violet frequency, and we used to clean the spaces and to do different things, to charge water for the plants. So then it was the path systems that I love it after going to the gym or playing pickleball or the cap just to relax. So that's over the skin. But when we came with the light in the vagina, this was like, oh, this is amazing because it can be on the field, over the skin, and now we're using internally. And the changes that it was causing, and I just remember the testimonial of that husband saying, my goodness, thank you for doing this. Now we got our relationship back. So to me, that's huge. That's really so powerful to know how indirectly we can help people in many senses, not just the person itself that's getting the session with the lights, but their lives, how they changed with that.
Right. And so she's specifically talking about the vaginal light therapy device that we sold. It was called Myel, but there was a trademark issue with Elle magazine. And so that's why that's not available anymore from the company that we got it. But hopefully in the near future, there will be another available, because there is so much benefit for pelvic floor issues, et cetera, et cetera. If we can bring the light inside of the body. So this particular one that you were talking to, it was a physician who got on and said, ever since the birth of our third child, I think that his wife had developed a very strange odor. And so she was so self-conscious of it. It's probably some sort of a bacteria, but they had done everything that they could. And this odor, unless she had just stepped out of the shower, she had intimacy issues. And I think it was after 1 or 2 times of her using the
I don't remember, but it was
a short
amazing.
time, 1 or 2, maybe 3 times. The odor was completely gone. And he said it just completely changed their relationship, their intimacy and everything. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many, we could go on, and there's so many light therapy devices out there that are really good, and light is good for us. They're not all created equal, because some of them just look like another one, but maybe don't work the same way. So you want to do your homework to make sure you're buying a good quality system. And this is not a infomercial, so we're not out. This isn't for us to go sell devices. Just make sure you're getting a good quality device or devices from reputable companies that you can actually call up and talk to a human. I mean, So what are a couple of other things that you know of that you get stories all the time from your clients or your pickleball friends for?
Well, when I go to play, and I remember my first, I don't know how you say
tournament.
Tournament, yes. My first tournament, of course, I brought the light with me, the little device. And I was sure that I was going to be using it, because there was someone that just like torque her part of yes, and at the knee, and the pain was really bad. So I just took the light and used it, and she was so grateful, so very grateful. So yeah, just in I could say now the one that I am really, really enjoying and very aware of the changes she's going through is a lady that had a stroke, and I had been using the cap with her. So doing the combination of facial work and the light, like the improvements are incredible. And she says, I know I see as an astronaut when I use the cap and all the pads all the way around. But I know this is going to cure me. So, yeah. And in fact, she's like her hand. And again, it's just like the combination. And I don't know exactly what goes first, but to combine like whatever there is to get her body like getting new information and her belief system on changing because of the emotional state. She was, when I started working with her, she was like very depressed, and with the light she feels more excited. And then as she's more excited, she does more work, physical work. So the combination of both, I think, are getting her into places that are incredible. In fact, when I got here, just the day after I came into Denver, her nieces, that's my friend who requested me to work with her, sent me pictures of her at the kitchen holding a cactus that we eat a lot in Mexico. And she was helping in the kitchen with her torn and paralyzed somehow hand. She was, as she is able to move it now, she was helping at the kitchen and doing things in there. So she's excited. Really excited.
Yeah, so there's so much going on right now with using photobiomodulation on the head, and so many issues like what you're describing, but cognitive decline. Some of the reports are just outrageous of what's happening. And it does require regular daily use for some of these issues, whether, whereas maybe a traumatic brain injury 2 or 3 times a week, it might work. With cognitive decline, we need, the person's got to have like a light therapy cap or whatever they're using in their home, because it's not convenient to go to your practitioner every day, right?
Of course.
And there's some other things that we're combining. So on some of the other episodes that we've done on this podcast, Marcy goes into detail about some of the other things, like using the 40 hertz light and the 40 hertz sound along with the cap. What you're pointing to is that you were using the light therapy cap, and in this case, we're specifically talking about the one that Inlight Therapy has, but I'm sure that there are others out there. But combining that with your fascia release work.
Yes.
So like each of us has a different modality that we are using, whether it's massage or some of the other things that you were talking about, that we're not just counting on necessarily light therapy by itself or photobiomodulation by itself. Sometimes that's all we've used to have dramatic results. But having said that, let me distinguish between having a miracle and having a healing. Because we like miracles and we ask for miracles, and miracles are something you used at one time and that issue is gone. It's cleared up. Jesus called the Lazarus, or out of the tomb.
From the dead. Yes.
Okay, he did. Now he's alive. That's a miracle. Okay, so a miracle happens right now. A healing happens over time. So what you're pointing to with this woman who's her hands all distorted, she can't use it at all or whatever, using lights, using the fascial release work and everything. And now she can actually begin to use that hand. We'll take a healing, we'll take a miracle.
Yeah.
We like them both.
Yes.
And we see them all the time. Linda?
Yes. I currently, or just recently actually, had a client that she was solely a massage client of mine. And she has had stomach issues and pain in her face, loss of smell, all these things going on. She'd been to ENTs, had brain scans, couldn't figure out what was going on. The headache was so intense. Every time you would see her, she would be pushing on her face. She would talk to you and would just be pushing on her face because she was trying to relieve the pain. Before she was my massage client, I didn't realize what she was doing. Her grandson and my youngest wrestled together. So I would see her at events and she would either be pressing on her eyebrow or pressing on her face. And, well, it turns out she started coming for massage and I would work and do all the things I knew how to do, like pulling all the tools out of the bag, right? And she was at my house one night and she had already been to the ER. She was just fed up. I could tell she was just so depleted, wore down, just didn't know what else to do. Couldn't get any answers, was putting all this money out, right? And just couldn't get a response. Nothing was helping. So it just was, I will call it the light came on, a divine intervention, where it was just, I had it come over me. She needs the lights. She was getting a massage. She was on my table. She was signed up for an hour and a half and we were about 30, 45 minutes in. And I realized what I was doing was not what she needed. And I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but will you follow me to my office? It was only, I live 2 minutes away. So I said, will you follow me to the office? You need the lights. I said, I just really think that's what you need. Let's just try it. It's not going to hurt you. If anything, then it didn't work. And oh, well, at least we tried, right? But I really was feeling that's what we needed to do. So I listened and she listened and she was open and we went and I put the lights on for 20 minutes. And she got up and she couldn't believe it. She was in tears she couldn't believe that she didn't have to press her face, but then she kept pressing her face. And I said, no, don't do it. Don't break it. If it's fixed, don't break it. Right. And because I didn't understand what was going on, I didn't know. And that was, humbling too, that sometimes we just aren't gonna know. A lot of times we're not gonna know. But if it works, right, it works. And if we believe it, and she became a believer right then and there where she couldn't believe what a difference. So sometimes we don't know why. But anyway, this really worked for this lady. And she was, couldn't believe it, just couldn't believe herself. She didn't know what she was getting into. She didn't even have a chance to doubt it. I think she was just at her wit's end and needed something. So she took a rental home and was able to experience it. I just recently saw her and she said that she was pain-free. Her stomach was better. She didn't have a headache. Her mood was better. And this lasted 2 months. And then she started having some symptoms come back. So she's like, give me lights. I think I need lights. So yes, that was amazing. It was more than just the pain. She experienced, things that nothing else would help her with.
Did she ever know why she was compelled to touch her face?
No, I think it was just kind of like when you hit your elbow, you grab it. Kind of like, ow, it's just that instinct. That was, she was pushing on her face, trying to release the pain. I think that was her kind of response of, just trying to get rid of the pain. Don't know what else to do. Right.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I have so many people that, have a hard time putting into words actually what they're feeling, but they say everything in their life seems to start working better when they start doing light therapy. And I know that, when, as silly as it sounds, sometimes I will go for a week or so without using my lights and then realize I haven't been using the lights. Because of course, I think we all probably have a setup at our own home. We don't have to go into the office to use them. And so there's no excuse. But I very regularly will do it just by leaving the lights out where they're convenient. Mm-hmm. And so, anybody that comes in the house can use them. So that's a really good point too, to keep them convenient and accessible.
Readily available. My kids get annoyed with how much, if anything, it's, well, put the lights on. Mom, put the lights on. Oh, you have put the lights on.
Sure. And it works.
It does.
Yeah. Well, I have some of, my kids' football friends that will come with their athletic injuries and ask to use the lights here. So they ask for it. So that's really, really cool. When my daughter was a teenager, she would always use the lights for her pimples. Yes. So that really would help to keep her skin beautiful. And so after I finally had gotten us a set, once I had the experience with my singing voice coming back, I bought a set. And at the time there was just a 3-pad system. And so, but it was still like $5,000, and so I bought it and brought it home, but I would, take it to the office. And so one day I was packing up to go to a trade show, and I started packing up the equipment, the light therapy device. And she said, "What are you doing?" Now she's about, at the time, maybe 13. And I said, "Well, I'm going to a trade show." "I know, but what are you doing?" I said, I'm packing to go to a trade show." "Well, why are you taking the light therapy?" And I said, "Because I'm going to a trade show. And, we show what we're doing. And now I'm not just doing the quantum biofeedback. I'm not just doing Hannah Kroger's work. I'm not just doing this. I'm also doing light therapy." She said, "But you can't take that." So I did end up taking it. She was not happy about it, but I ended up buying another system so that I could have one, leave the one at home, and take one to the office. So yeah, the family, I think in the future, every household's going to have light therapy.
I hope so.
Yeah.
That's my hope.
That's something that I hope really, really big to people to be able to understand that it's a very good tool to really use instead of doing drugs or doing,
invasive.
Invasive techniques or things. Because when using the light, it's wonderful, wonderful.
So have you all ever had an experience with working with someone that you could tell was so spiritually, I'll call it spiritually, somebody else might call it energetically distressed, or so much darkness or negativity around them that you weren't even sure if the lights were going to help, but maybe they did? Or have you had any of those experiences? Because I have one girl that, it was amazing, the change that she was, or that she had in the session, and I was doing, like, really trying to have her change through the nervous system from that state of fight or flight response that she lives in, but she's so used to live in that way. So we had a session, and when she left, I could tell that it was like big change for her. So after the sessions, I usually will get in touch just with the chat. Hey, next day, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And is everything okay? And her response was, "What did you do to me? I feel terrible. I cannot be as I feel. I need to be doing so many things. And I don't like the feeling that I have, because it feels like if I want to fall asleep forever, and I cannot stand that." So I started doing lots of coffee again to be able to get in the same place that I was before. So she wouldn't stand it. And she would go back to that
fight or flight response because that's how she's used to.
That's what felt normal for her.
Normal, yeah.
I know I've had a number of clients that have told me that it wasn't till like session 4 or 5 with the light therapy, specifically in the infrasculpt, before they could even relax. That until they actually got to this state of relaxation where we call it the parasympathetic, shift over to parasympathetic nervous system, where sleep, meditate, relax, that's where we're going to heal. And until we can shift over there, right, you're not going to have the same results. But where they were so jacked up in their nervous system that it literally took 4 or 5 sessions before they even realized that they never relaxed, because they, but by contrast, now they know, and then things can start to happen. So in my opinion, and it is strictly my opinion, and observation, I see that that's why some of our clients, some of them will start really losing weight and shifting and everything right away. And others it may not really start happening until 6, 8, 10 sessions down the road, until they're obviously detoxing the whole time. So that's a great thing. But until they can absolutely just finally let go.
Let the body flood. And then I've experienced the opposite. And maybe it's because I was in a good place. I don't know. But I was on the lights one time and I felt this flood of energy that almost made me feel anxious, but not anxious isn't a good word, because it wasn't negative. It was, I had to get up off that table and go. I was just done. I think my body said, okay, that's enough. Let's go. Because, I guess we have to listen to that too, is sometimes we're going to need different things. I feel like there's some sessions that I could run the light system 3 times, 4 times. I wish I could just be under it all day. Right. And then, that there was that time that I did experience where, oh my gosh, I just had to get up. I was good to go. And here I go. I had to get it off and it wasn't negative, but it was, I don't know. I got my fix for the day, I guess.
Your battery was charged. Exactly. And you didn't need to overcharge it.
Exactly.
That I tell my clients, listen, on their first session, 1 or 2 things are probably going to happen. One is, especially if this is their first time experiencing photobiomodulation or light therapy, either you're going to go home and sleep for 14 hours, or you're going to go want to repaint your house.
Right.
It seems to, so that's what you're pointing to, is
yes.
that all of a sudden you were charged and you're ready to go. And that's my explanation for why children who might love doing the lights may stay under them for 4 or 5 minutes and they're done. They may have wanted the lights. They may have asked for the lights. Their tummy might hurt, or, some pain in their body. And then you set it up and they're only there for a few minutes, and then they run off and they go play. And you're like, I thought you wanted to do the lights. Well, they had enough. Their battery got charged. Animals are the same way. They'll come around us, right, when we're doing a light therapy system at home or a session, and they'll get charged up and then run off because they've had enough.
Yeah. And I would say that, to me, one of my big learning on what to do with lights is breathing. Like when people fall asleep and their breath is like really profound, and you can feel like the expansion of their breathing, and all of a sudden when it's enough, then they may start moving and their breath will be much more like it won't be as expanded. It will be more short breaths, and their physical body will start moving. And so that's the moment that I say, okay, this is enough. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is very interesting to observe that.
So in closing, either one of you, if someone was saying they wanted to add photobiomodulation to their wellness practice, what would you say to them?
I would say, do it, go, run, don't look back. It's going to be great. And I don't see any downside. I have not experienced any downside with us having the lights in our spa. I mean, not one negative can I think of having them, because yes, everybody is different. I know it sounds so cliche, but really every body is different and you're going to have different responses and you can't please everybody. And we can't quote unquote fix everybody, but, the lights have not been 1 ounce of negative in our lives.
Excellent. Isabel?
Well, I would say just think of what light means to you. So this is just like the representation of what being enlightened would be. So just think of that. If you really want to be filled of light, and feeling the lightness in your life, just think of doing the lights really often, because that's just like the representation of that itself. So go for the light.
If you want to lighten up,
Just
one of
do
the
it.
easiest ways is to literally use light.
Just do the lights.
To me, it's the easiest modality I've
Yeah.
ever practiced, because
Oh,
let's say with the pad-based system, you just put the pads on, you can leave the room. System shuts itself off.
Yes.
Oh, makes massage so much less work.
Of course.
That's what I've heard from a lot of our massage therapists, that if you do it either before or during the session, that the tissue is so much more pliable.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah. And I just think, one thing that we're not told, and this is my, understanding of energy, but what you were pointing to earlier about the above the line, below the line, understanding energy model that we teach in the light therapy certification course, is the thing that we don't get told in life is the object of, if you want to be happy in life, stay in the light. And there's imagine this horizontal, invisible line above which things are of the light. And the greatest of all light is our source, God, our whatever name, big sweetie, that anybody wants to use for that great light, our creator. And below which is the things that are negative and the darkness and the non-beneficial. And no matter how much we don't like that, or we think we have the right to be negative, nasty, or whatever, it doesn't get us where we want to go in life. It's not where happy is. Happy is a function of above the line living. And so for all of us, I think it's a great joy for us to not only have the light therapy available to ourselves and our loved ones, but to have it available to our clients, because it truly does make a difference. And yeah, got to keep it light and lighten people up.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Isabel Martinez and Dr. Ginger Bowler are certified light therapy instructors and co-founders of the Light Energy Training Seminars. Melinda Anderson is a certified light therapist and co-owner of AMA Laser and Health Spa in Greeley, Colorado. You can send us an email with your questions and comments to podcast@letskeepitlight.com, and be sure to visit us on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Sarah Weston, and we'll see you at the next episode of Let's Keep It Light.